Part 23. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 230. One more. Special thanks to the hot love, happy face, who have been rewarding Nuan. What's wrong with my physique? What's wrong with my ability? Standing in front of Zhou Mikang, Chu Xia leaned forward slightly, her small face almost touching his face. Are you despising me? Huh. The warm breath sprayed on his face, and the faint fragrance lingered in his nose. Zhou Mikang felt as if his heart was being strangled, and he couldn't breathe. Seeing his sluggish appearance, Chu Xia smiled triumphantly, hesitated for a moment, clasped his neck with trembling hands, sat down on his lap, and continued proudly with her little face up, "Speak, are you here, despise me?" At this time, the voice was visibly trembling. You know what you're doing." Zhou Mikang, who had regained his soul, tried his best to squeeze out the sentence. His voice was sexy and deep. Dang, of course. Feeling the instant scorching heat under his buttocks, Chu Xia Tongzi, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly panicked like a little rabbit in his heart, and couldn't straighten his tongue. A faint smile appeared in Zhou Mikang's eyes. "Are you scared?" "No. Not afraid." As if to show that she was really not afraid, Muxia even pretended to stick out her small chest. Although she was thin, she was well developed, and because she was nervous, she used a bit too much strength. Her chest was firm and trembling with her movements. Zhou Mikang closed his eyes and took a deep breath, and then took a deep breath. Trying hard to make the throbbing in my heart subside, I pushed Chu Xia with my big hand. "Be obedient. Stop making trouble." "I didn't make a fuss." A certain person looked confident. "When did I make a fuss? Is this still happening? He is a normal man with vigorous blood. Holding my daughter-in-law, I can only watch but not move. This is to take his old life." "You hate me," Muxia pouted aggrievedly. "We just got married, so you don't want to see me anymore. After that, when I get old, do you have to throw me out? What are you thinking about?" "Chu Xia, I know what you mean, but I, Zhou Mikang, am an upright man. I don't want you to reveal your feelings to me in this way. You have made up your mind. Are you going to give me to someone else?" Chu Xia's big eyes were gradually covered with mist. "Dare to love me in your heart, just an object. When you can protect it, you keep it, and when you can't protect it, just give it away. You are in my heart." Zhou Mikang froze there, unable to speak. Such a decision. Make him heartbroken. However, Xiao Yuan is too despicable and shameless. If he is not before his freedom is restricted. Help her arrange everything, then the consequences will definitely be unbearable for both him and her. She didn't understand how cruel this kind of struggle was. With his pride, raw torment. There is nothing to be afraid of, but it is absolutely impossible to let her go through this. Suppressing the softness in his heart, his voice suddenly became cold and hard. "You are indeed just a beautiful object in my heart. Everything that the Zhou family has suffered is caused by you, so I don't want to see you again. Send you to someone else. I'll bite you to death." Chu Xia tried her best to bite his arm, and the bloody grip in her mouth became heavier and heavier, finally clearing her mind a little. "Climb down from him listlessly, move a stool and sit opposite him, look at him with big eyes full of sadness, and look at him motionless." In terms of her actual situation, the only thing that can repay him at this time is to let him truly understand her determination to share will and woe with him. Recalling the scenes of getting to know him, she is very sure that he will definitely be a responsible and good husband. It is easy to find a priceless treasure, and it is rare to have a lover. At this time, she must stand by his side. "You said that just now. I'm very angry." Finally, when he was about to be unable to bear her profuse gaze, she said, "Don't treat me as a fool, and don't come and stage this bloody drama for me. Do you think I will believe it? Do you think you are great at doing this? Jo Mikang, if you really do this, I will only look down on you. What kind of man is a woman who can't protect himself? She is soft for a while and steel for a while, like a cat for a while and a tiger for a while. How can the leaders Heise not understand what she means? The so-called giving both kindness and majesty is nothing more than that. However, how could she understand the cruelty of the matter, and it was definitely not something he could solve by gritting his teeth. If it wasn't a last resort, how could he go this way? When encountering a problem, using lies and cruel words to deceive the other party to leave, and to bear it alone, I feel that I am quite great, but in fact, it is selfish at all. Don't always be a child who doesn't know anything about me. Indeed, my family background determines that I will never encounter the kind of ordeal your family is facing. However, just because I can't meet him doesn't mean I don't understand the cruelty of it, and I'm not a fool who wants to rush forward knowing that I will be killed. If going to the Jing's house can save me from Xiaoyuan's persecution and make you feel at ease, I can go to the Jing's house, but please don't use divorce to solve the problem. You may say that if you avoid the Jing family without a divorce, the Xiao family will become hostile to the Jing family. How about, if you avoid the Jing family after a divorce, will the Xiao family not be hostile to the Jing family? In this matter, no matter how it is done, the Jing family's position is the same. Instead of us killing each other here, we should use this time to think of a proper solution. Is she educating herself? Jo Mikang had black lines all over his face, but he was faintly moved in his heart. He thought that because of her rejection of him, after he proposed a divorce, she would definitely accept it happily, but he didn't expect that the result would be like this. If the first refusal is a temptation, then repeated refusals are determination. She has already done this, what else is there for him to be hypocritical about? Originally, he was thinking that she didn't like him anyway, so if he used this opportunity to give her freedom, the guilt in his heart would be relieved. This little thing can always surprise him at the right time. Ordinary girls, when encountering such a thing, would have lost their minds long ago, so how can they try to reason with him here? There was a swell of warmth in his heart. He stretched out his hand to touch her head. Lin Chuxia, you have to think about it. I am a domineering person. If I don't run away this time, you won't be able to run away even if you want to in the future. Cut, Chu Xia pouted. If you do something wrong to me, no matter how overbearing you are, you won't be able to stop me from escaping. There was a smile in his eyes, and suddenly, he was completely relieved of the previous situation. If he didn't have that failed relationship, or if he had been married a long time ago, how could he meet such a happy little thing? Thinking of this, I secretly reminded myself that I can't use small things to describe her in the future. Thinking of this, I always treat her as a child, but looking at her, she seems to hate him for treating her as a child. Well, what she wants is equality, then he will try to give her equality in the future. Chu Xia, during this period of time, you may have to suffer some grievances. Even if Uncle Jing can protect you, outsiders will still have gossip, and some people will even say some nasty things in front of you. Chu Xia interrupted him, I have thought of all these, don't worry, I will endure, but if you dare to bully me during this time, I will write them down one by one, and give them to me one by one when you come back. Return it? It must be emphasized that I must be present when returning it. Meow, anyone who dares to bully me has never died before. Jo Mikang. Can I still stand in front of you after death? Regarding his little wife's weird way of thinking, he didn't know what to say. Hold me, comfort my injured little heart. Chu Xia sat down on him as she spoke, her eyes full of grievances. I warn you, no matter what happens in the future, you are not allowed to lie to me and kick me out. What I hate the most is to lie to cover up when something happens, but think it is for the other party's benefit. Okay, I won't do that in the future. Jo Mikang didn't sit stiffly like before this time, but wrapped his arms around her and held her in his arms. Feeling her body stiffen slightly, his eyes narrowed slightly, his chin rubbed back and forth against her forehead, and she shrank her neck from the stubble. Honestly, don't make trouble. Okay, he really cooperated and stopped moving. He used to be so flamboyant, how could he be so obedient? Hey, it seems that what happened this time really hit him hard. Otherwise, how could he, who is so proud, come up with such a humming way to set her free? Forget it, although I wasn't mentally prepared, but, Chusia gritted her teeth and made it. With trembling hands, he began to unbutton his jacket. He was taken aback, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help curling up. What do you want? No. No. Why not? Chusia's voice trembled as if she was sitting on a bumpy bullock cart. Why not? Then why do you want to unbutton me? Let you rest earlier. Chusia wanted to reach in and straighten her tongue out of hatred. There was a nervous one. Don't women have to pass this test? Isn't this a special situation? Will the new human beings of the 21st century be intimidated by such things? It seems that she is really intimidated. She has been undoing only one coat button for a long time, but she still hasn't undid it. Do you need my help? Okay. Chusia quickly retracted her little paws, and ran to the bathroom as if fleeing. I'm going to take a shower, you take off by yourself. The bathroom door closed with a bang, and after a while, it was pushed open again with a bang. Take off your clothes and lie on the bed and wait for me. Boom. This time, the door of the bathroom was not opened again. After a while, there was the sound of running water inside. Joe Mikang sat there stiffly. Was he being molested? Still. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 231. The second watch arrives. After dawdling for a full half an hour, Chusia tiptoed open the bathroom door and came out with a red face wrapped tightly in her pajamas, sneaking a glimpse out of the corner of her eye. There was no one on the bed at all. She quickly stood up straight, looked around, then smiled wryly. She was still too self-righteous. With his pride, how could he want her at this time? Or, he already understood what she was going to do from her actions, and when he couldn't be sure of his concentration, he chose to run away. People are really strange animals, and they have always been very repulsed to do that kind of intimate things with him, but after finding out that the other party deliberately escaped, she actually felt a faint sense of loss. He simply took off his pajamas, stood naked in front of the mirror and looked at himself. The young skin is tight and moist, with a touch of powder. The eyebrows are not black, and the lips are not red. Although thin, they are bulging where they should be, and they are raised where they should be. It makes people feel pity. In this era, she has lost everything. The only thing she has gained is probably this body. The so-called beauty is nothing more than that. The original cabbage gang has not been trimmed in the first few months, and it has grown to the shoulders, and it hangs wetly on the shoulders, which is even more sexy. It's no wonder that Xiaoyuan is thinking about it. She can't find fault with herself, let alone a lustful man. Fortunately, the owner of this body is now her. If the unreliable deity has such a face, it will definitely be a disaster rather than a blessing. After knowing that the two of them had exchanged souls at all, she no longer apologized to the deity. The world is fair. Gain must be lost at the same time, if you can choose. She would never want to come to this era. What a broken age. She was almost suffocated to death. Concentrated mind, put on clothes. But at the bedside, she found a letter left by Zhou Mikang. Chusia, beloved wife. Please forgive me for evading in this way. I don't want to push you out, but I don't want you to regret it one day. I have already understood your thoughts, and I am very moved, but as a man, I cannot accept any pity and sympathy. I hope, one day, it will come to fruition. You are willing to be my real wife. I went to the guest room to rest. Don't worry about my grandparents and parents misunderstood, I will explain to them. The inscription is Husband, Jo Mi-kang. Although it was just a few lines, Chu-sia had to read it several times before she understood the meaning. The moment she saw the letter just now, she mistakenly thought that the fool was still stubborn and insisted on pushing her out, and her heart was restless. There are also deviations in understanding. A little moved, but a little angry. When did she sympathize with him? She just wanted to let the Jo family understand her determination at this time. All right. She admitted that the Jo family's generosity to the Lin family gave her a sense of repayment. With the debt paid, of course. This debt was something she wanted to repay willingly. Time went back to the moment when Chu-sia entered the bathroom. The group leader's Haizu really listened to his little wife. He took off his clothes and lay down on the bed. However, after waiting for 10 minutes, the sound of water continued, and the little wife hadn't come out yet. His fiery heart finally regained some sense. At this time, do you really want her? Of course he understands what she is thinking. Ordinarily, she has become the wife he is currently marrying, so it is only natural that he wants her now. But inexplicably, he just didn't want to force her. As long as he thought that this might become a regret in her life, he felt uncomfortable. So, he got up again and put his clothes on completely. Returned the comforter on the bed to its original shape. He took the pen and paper and left a message for his little wife. 1. Throw it away. 2 envelopes, thrown away again. 3 letters, still not satisfied. 4 letters were about to be kneaded into a ball, and when another one was brewing, the sound of water stopped, so, if he was satisfied or dissatisfied, this was the one. He put the letter away and fled. Thinking of throwing away the useless letters in the trash basket, he hurried back to pick them up. The moment she opened the bathroom door, he just closed the door. When she was standing in front of the mirror and admiring herself, he was standing outside the door to calm down his excitement, holding 3 balls of paper tightly in his hands. When she was reading the letter, he was in the next room, appreciating the 3 letters he had written and wasted. First letter. Chu-sia, beloved wife. I love you, so I absolutely can't let you do things you don't like. I will wait until you love me, and then I will become a real husband and wife with you. Second letter. Chu-sia, beloved wife. I like you, so I absolutely can't let you do things you don't like. I will wait until you love me, and then I will become a real husband and wife with you. The third letter. Chu-sia, beloved wife. I respect you, so I must not let you do things you don't like. I will wait until you love me, and then I will become a real husband and wife with you. He looked at the 3 letters he had written over and over again, and then, fixed on the first letter, he began to feel annoyed. Why didn't he dare to keep the one with the most true thoughts? Thinking of the somewhat cold beginning of the 4th letter, he began to worry like a boy. Would she be disappointed after reading it? Will you be sad? Could it be a misunderstanding? The more I thought about it, the more entangled I was. I sat up suddenly from the bed. I wanted to go to see her, but when I reached the door, I felt ashamed to go there, so I turned back. Then, after a while, he sat up suddenly, walked to the door, and then turned back. In the end, even he couldn't stand himself anymore. Is this a mental illness? When did he think about a person so much? No, forced to sleep. A person is covered in a quilt, but his brain is not under his control. Just toss back and forth like this until dawn. Chu-sia slept very soundly that night, understood his intentions, and clearly expressed her own intentions, and was able to temporarily stop doing things she didn't like to do. After the initial complaint, she felt nothing. Pulled into dreamland. When the first ray of sunlight came into the room in the morning, she opened her eyes, and then, with she sat up quickly, blinked her big eyes and looked at the group leader Tongza with black eye circles. You actually worship pandas so much, is there an imitation show coming directly? Eldest sister, can we be more heartless? The head of the regiment, Tongzi, twitched his brows unconsciously, coughed, and said muffledly, hurry up and wash up, and go to Uncle Jing's house later. OK. Chu Xia jumped out of bed refreshed, looked at the head of the regiment again, and patted him on the shoulder sympathetically. Don't hold back what's on your mind in the future, you are older than me. If you go on, you will grow older, and when we walk together, it will be bad if people misunderstand that you are my father. Go wash up. Yes. Chu Xia quickly bounced into the bathroom, stuck out his head and smiled at the furious group leader. Actually, you don't look old now, just like my uncle. Boom, the door was closed, and Zhou Mikang, who was left petrified, dropped dregs there. After a long while, he pretended to get up unintentionally, and stood in front of the mirror. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 232. Once the update arrives, the Ode 1 will be updated at noon tomorrow. When she came down from upstairs to greet the elders, Lin Yangkai was obviously a lot colder towards Chu Xia, and her slightly researching eyes lingered on her for a long time. Of course, Chu Xia understood what the other party was confirming, so when she felt the disappointment when the other party withdrew his gaze, an indescribable disappointment rose in her heart. Lin Yangkai's kindness to her stems from her love for her son. She knew this from the beginning to the end, and of course she would not expect the other party to accept her from the heart in such a short period of time and treat her as a family. If there is no Zhou Mikang, what is she in the eyes of the Zhou family? The reason is clear, but she just can't help feeling uncomfortable. Then he felt hypocritical. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law have been enemies since ancient times. If it wasn't for Zhou Mikang's special situation, Lin Yangkai, as a mother-in-law, would probably be the last to accept her. Why is she complaining about herself? Could it be that if you really think that you are a sweet pastry, the whole family should support her? It seems that she has really had a good life for so long that she has forgotten what her last name is. Quickly adjusted his mentality, Chu Xia looked as usual and finished breakfast with everyone. After putting down the chopsticks, everyone sat there depressed and did not move. Mr. Zhou waved his hand. It's time to go to work. What to do? Turning to look at Zhou Mikang, Xiaomi, the wedding leave between you and Chu Xia is not yet available. After that, drive the in-laws back and play there for a few days before coming back. Obviously, it is hoped that Zhou Mikang will use this reason to go out to hide from the limelight. Grandpa, since they decided to deal with our family, no matter where I go, the result is the same. So, at this time, I can't go to my father-in-law's house. Pause. Zhou Mikang continued, Chu Xia and I will go to Uncle Jing's house first, and then we will go to the ancestral house and arrange a car to take father-in-law and the others back. Lin Yangkai frowned. What are you doing at the Jing family? Mom, at this time, only Uncle Jing can protect Chu Xia's safety. You, Xiao Yuan dare not move. But Chu Xia, he will not be scrupled, so I must find her someone who can protect her when I am not around her people. Lin Yangkai stared at Chu Xia for a while, sighed and looked at Zhou Mikang. Third son, Mom hopes that you have been married for so many years. If you knew the result earlier, Mom would rather you stay single. What nonsense are you talking about? Zhou Jingping glared at his wife. Didn't you already explain everything yesterday? Even if there was nothing like the last time, the Xiao family will not let this opportunity go. I won't let go of this opportunity. But nor will it point the finger at Xiaomi. You. Zhou Jingping was so angry that his hands were shaking. Didn't you rush to make this marriage happen? Didn't you feel fine yesterday? You woke up after a whole night's sleep. Why do you look like a different person? I didn't fall asleep all night, thinking about it over and over again. The more I thought about it, the more I regretted it, if I hadn't been so pushy. How could Xiaomi be in such a hurry to find a woman to marry? If it wasn't for this, how could the Xiao family get revenge like this? It's all my fault after all the calculations. Lin Yangkai looked at Chu Xia. Since you are not willing to marry the third child, why not take this opportunity to leave? He will save you and you will feel at ease, so let's break up like this bar. Sure enough, she still blamed her. Chu Xia secretly sighed, looked up at Lin Yangkai seriously. Before she could speak, Zhou Mikang spoke first. Mom, isn't it because I'm going to beg Uncle Jing? You can't bear it because of your face? Well, as for the reasons for the nonsense. No, Lin Yangkai hurriedly shook her head. Even if you don't ask Lao Jing, I'll say the same thing. Now, Mom, I really think that Chu Xia is not suitable for you. Anyway, you haven't consummated the marriage yet. Mom, Zhou Mikang roared, glaring at Lin Yangkai bitterly. It seems that you don't want me to come back to this house in the future. Don't worry, I will help you. I didn't mean that. Lin Yangkai was also anxious just now, and blurted out. Now she also realizes that it is too inappropriate to say this in front of a large family. Thinking of her son's temper, she was so frightened that she hurriedly explained, Xiaomi, don't be angry with your mother, thinking that you are going to be framed by Xiao Yuan. My mother will panic and panic, so just talk nonsense. Chu Xia, don't be angry with Mom. Mom didn't think bad of you when she did this. It was a coincidence. Mom really didn't want you two to be hurt, so she said that. Let's go, stop talking to her. Zhou Mikang dragged Chu Xia out. Wait, Chu Xia looked up at him with a serious expression. Let me say a few words, okay? Zhou Mikang nodded, but did not let go of her hand. Knowing his stubborn temper, Chu Xia had no choice but to let him lead, and looked at the elders of the Zhou family. Grandpa, Grandma, Father, Mother, no matter what the original reason for this marriage is, but now, it is because we like each other. I am willing to be with him. I believe, he also hopes that I can be with him. Zhou Mikang's eyes widened instantly, and she actually said that she liked him. Are you kidding me? At this time, Chu Xia's eyes had turned to him, her eyes full of seriousness. What I said is true, I am sure, I like you, maybe not to the extent of love, but believe me, one day, I love you. After getting her definite answer, Zhou Mikang immediately felt that his brain was itchy and his breathing was not smooth. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't make a sound. He wanted to hug her, but his body seemed to be pressed, and he couldn't move at all. No. Okay. It really is from my Zhou family. For the first time, Ms. Zhou looked at Chu Xia with a smile on her face. Let's go to the Jing's house. She said and stood up. I will go with you. Let the old man and the old lady of the Jing family accept you as a goddaughter. If they dare not accept you, I will screw off old man Jing's ears. While speaking, the old lady had already walked to Chu Xia's side vigorously, and snatched her away from Zhou Mikang's hands. No matter what happens, Grandma will accompany you. She never thought that the old lady Zhou, who always disliked her, would accept her so easily. Chu Xia felt that everything was in a dream, and she let the other party hold her hand and walked out of the door halfway. Before she came back to her senses, looking back, the head of the group didn't even come out. Grandma, Zhou Mikang is not here, she hurriedly reminded her. You're worthless, Ms. Zhou scolded, and couldn't help but shook her head with a smile. Chu Xia, Xiaomi is a paper tiger, and in this life, you've been suppressed by you. Has anyone said that about their grandson? Chu Xia smiled uncomfortably. Grandma, do you want to go back and call him? No need, Ms. Zhou shook her head. When he came to his senses, he came after him by himself. He's not stupid, how could he not know where to find us? When the old lady said this, Chusia realized that Jo Mikang was not new to the world. How could he really be stunned because of her words and still not recover? It should be taking advantage of the time when she came out with the old lady to have a showdown with the Jo family, or to be more precise with Lin Yangkaiu, right? She guessed right. When Mrs. Jo dragged her out, Jo Mikang came back to his senses, but instead of chasing him out, he solemnly announced to Jo's family that Lin Chuxia was Jo Mikang. The daughter-in-law is a certainty. Xiaomi. Lin Yangkaiu knew that her son was angry with her, so she could only pull him aside, and whispered, "Mom knows what she did just now was wrong, but son, don't blame Mom for thinking too much. She personally agreed to your marriage, and we have all the etiquette that should be fulfilled. In the end, she didn't consummate the marriage with you. If she has no idea about this matter, Mom really can't convince herself." Jo Mikang squinted at her. "Didn't you talk to her? Don't you all know the answer? She told you." "She didn't say, but I have eyes." Jo Mikang glanced at Lin Yangkaiu lightly. "Mom, don't think I'm a fool. I know what you did, because you are my mother, and because you really hurt me. Because you didn't do anything to offend her, because you didn't force her, so I didn't say anything, but if Mom gets confused from now on, please bear the consequences." "Xiaomi." Lin Yangkaiu frowned and didn't know what to say. After thinking about it, he is a soldier. After passing this hurdle, I am afraid it is impossible to stay by her side all the time. Then, it is necessary to have a harmonious relationship with his family and let my mother treat her like a daughter. Yes, thinking about it, Jo Mikang explained in a rare way, she is not what you imagined. She didn't leave a way out for herself, and the reason is all on me. "What?" Lin Yangkaiu stared at the boss. "Son, what do you mean?" Seeing his mother's reaction, Jo Mikang knew that his words had been misunderstood. With the lessons learned from his elder brother, isn't it easy for my mother to think wildly? Jo Mikang's expression turned pale. "What I mean is, I told her that before the age of 18, she and I were just married couples in name, so don't trouble her." "Oh." Lin Yangkaiu breathed a sigh of relief, but she was scared to death. If the elder son behaves like this, and the younger son behaves like this again, she won't even have the courage to live. "Xiaomi, explain to Chusia that Mom still likes her, but..." Sighing, Lin Yangkaiu continued, "It's because she was in a hurry that she talked nonsense. Let her not take it to heart. Mom, the Xiao family won't last long, don't worry." Jo Mikang patted Lin Yangkaiu comfortingly, then turned and walked out. "Wait," old Master Jo called to stop him, "I'll go with you." Jo Mikang had a black line. "Grandpa, there is no need for such a big battle. Since you've identified Chusia, then, Grandpa must win face for his granddaughter-in-law." Mr. Jo waved his hands as he said, "Don't be a mother-in-law, hurry up, or your grandma will be unhappy again. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind." Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 233. Why don't I go too? Zhou Jingping couldn't sit still as his parents all came to cheer him on. "No need." Mr. Jo waved his hand. "What are you supposed to do? Your mother and I are the ones involved in Xiaomi and Chuxia's affairs," he said, and looked at Lin Yangkaiu, who looked worried. "Boss daughter-in-law, my heart, relax, it's not that serious." "Dad, I will." Lin Yangkaiu forced a smile. Of course, she wanted to relax a little bit, but how could she relax after witnessing an instant collapse? Black and white are in the hands of the victor. I wonder if the Jo family will be as lucky as last time in this battle? She didn't ask for anything else, just that every member of the Jo family was safe and sound, that's all. The ups and downs again and again made her understand that the most important thing is to live and live well. She struggled with her attitude towards her youngest daughter-in-law all night, and in the end, she did that, but who can really understand her thoughts? How could she not see the little girl's disappointment in her? However, she really did that because she felt sorry for her. She hoped that one day, she could understand her own thoughts, and also hoped that everything would not be as tragic as she imagined. Don't think about it, it's not that serious. The sudden increase in weight on her shoulders brought Lin Yangkai back to her senses, and she forced a smile to Zhou Jingping's worried eyes. I know. Hey, Zhou Jingping knew that she was thinking about his sister-in-law Lin Yanru, sighed heavily, and said, the children will understand. Second uncle Zhou Gangping and second aunt Liang Xiaohong also came to comfort Lin Yangkai. Yu Tao didn't understand what happened, so she poked Zhou Zikang lightly. Mom, what's wrong? It's nothing. Zhou Zikang was unwilling to say more. Perfunctory her, look at the time. Said, I'm going to work. Grandpa is right. Live as you want. Now it's just our guess. Maybe things are not that bad. Brother, just lie to yourself. Zhou Zhonkang, the son of Uncle Zhou's family, curled his lips and stood up. With Xiao Yuan's temperament, he finally got the chance. Can the Zhou family be let go? Anyway, I don't believe it. Zhou Zhonkang is a third-year student in the Chinese department of University B. He was called back from a meeting yesterday. Usually, he basically doesn't go home. Zhou Zikang didn't know how to comment on this cousin, and even thought that Zhou Zhonkang should be the son of his third aunt Lu Lingmei. The second uncle and the second aunt and my family have been living with the old man and the old lady. The number of times Zhou Zhonkang has returned in 1 year can definitely be counted in one slap. My third brother is cold on the surface, but when the family members are in trouble, he will definitely be the first to rush up. This, he firmly believes. But Zhou Zhonkang is different. He seems to have always regarded himself as a member other than the Zhou family. I have always been against my second uncle and aunt living here. This house was assigned to the Zhou family when the old man was in power. Ordinarily, the old man should take it back after he retires, but it just so happened that his father was promoted to the commander-in-chief of the Beijing area. According to the level, I can afford this house. The family has been living here. But from Zhou Zongkang's point of view, he was dependent on others. If his second uncle and aunt had a good relationship with his parents, and he knew Zhou Zongkang's temperament, he might have caused much unhappiness. Are you planning to move out from here? Zhou Zikang was still thinking about it in a complicated mood. Zhou Zhonkang had already walked to the four elders and looked at Uncle and Aunt Tuesday expressionlessly. My house has been divided. If you want, you can move there with me. Anyway, I won't come here in the future. After finishing speaking, without waiting for Uncle Tuesday and Aunt Tuesday to answer, he turned and went upstairs, and after a while, carrying a large black bag, she ran out. Stop, Uncle Jojo, who was stunned for a long time and hadn't recovered from his senses, yelled angrily, you rebellious son, at this time, do you want to betray the Zhou family? What is betrayal? Zhou Zhonkang turned his head and looked at his father coldly. Since I was a child, I have never been honored by the Zhou family, and everything I have achieved today is the result of my own hard work. What I don't understand is why all of you are protecting Zhou Mikang. Is he worthy of sympathy for being dumped by a woman? A big man, for a woman, has been looking for life and death for so many years. He is not ashamed. I am ashamed. Well, I swore at first that I didn't want to get married, but what happened? Seeing a good-looking woman, I can get married faster than anyone else. If it weren't for him, would the Zhou family have encountered this catastrophe? Yes, Grandpa said, even without Lin Chuxia, the Xiao family would target the Zhou family. This, maybe, but definitely not so soon. Knowing that he was the cause of everything, but now instead of trying to find a way to get through this difficulty, the whole family is busy protecting his woman who caused trouble. What's going on? I am really disappointed with this family. You are willing to bear everything for him, but I am not. Also, I will issue a statement. From then on, I have no relationship with the Zhou family. Snapped. Zhou Gangping was so angry that he took a few steps forward and slapped Zhou Zhonkong heavily on the face. Liang Xiaohong felt sorry for his son, and hurried forward to hold him back. "Speak well, why are you beating the child? Did you hear what he said just now?" Zhou Gangping's jaw was trembling. "Zhou Zhonkong, you've asterisked too much. What do you mean you haven't been honored by the Zhou family today? If your surname is not Zhou, you're not a member of this Zhou family. He mother, don't talk about going to college and getting a house now. Even if you're farming, no one wants you." Zhou Gangping, who was extremely angry, uttered foul language uncontrollably. Lin Yangkaiu, who was originally a little angry, suddenly couldn't laugh or cry. Although the Zhou family is a wealthy family, the Zhou family brothers are not well educated, so when they got angry, they became bandits. "Look at your quality." Zhou Zhonkong looked at Zhou Gangping with disgust. "Not only beat people, but also cursed people. The Zhou family like this, still want to keep me." Zhou Gangping kicked him to the ground. "Get lost. The Zhou family has no descendants like you." "Zhonkong, I see that you are so angry with your father that you can't talk properly." Liang Xiaohong hurriedly pulled her son up. "Mom knows that you are talking nonsense because you are in a hurry. Please apologize to your father and say to your uncle and aunt sorry. Hurry up." "Mom, let me go." Zhou Zhonkong pulled her hand away with a flat face, and looked at Zhou Gangping with neither joy nor sadness. "Because you are my father, so I will be honest with you. When you slap and kick me, I'm sorry, but you also wiped out all the love between me and you. From now on, you will be you and I will be me." He said and looked at Liang Xiaohong. "You are going to come with me now, so it's still my mother. If you are willing to stay here, what happens to you in the future has nothing to do with me." Zhou Zikang stepped forward to block Zhou Zhonkong. "I want to ask you, why didn't you tell me yesterday? Why didn't you show your prestige in front of the third child? First marriage then love." Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 234. The two more are together, and I am especially grateful to the hot love who has been rewarding Nuan. Zhou Zhonkong came back yesterday afternoon. During dinner, he warmly greeted Zhou Mikang, wished him a happy wedding, and explained the reason why he could not attend the wedding. He accompanied the professor to other provinces to attend an important academic seminar, and caught up with the heavy rain. The traffic was interrupted. Knowing that his words were an excuse, Zhou Mikang did not expose him. In the following time, Zhou Zhonkong acted like a non-existent transparent person. Who would have thought that after one night, he would turn into such a face? Facing Zhou Zikang's angry questioning, Zhou Zhonkong was not only not ashamed, but sarcastically said, "If you reason with that kind of uneducated barbarian, do you think I'm a fool?" Liang Xiaohong, who had been persuading him softly, looked at her son in disbelief. "Xiaozhong, do you know what you are talking about? Isn't what I said the truth? You are all afraid of him, so do I have to be afraid of him too?" Zhou Zhonkong snorted coldly. "Just because he was dumped by a woman, we should all coax him to follow him." Snapped. Zhou Gangping slapped Zhou Zhonkong heavily on the face. "Get out. I will go to the newspaper today to explain the relationship between father and son to you. In the future, you will follow your sunny path. Anything that happens to the Zhou family has nothing to do with you." "Thank you, Father." Zhou Zhonkong smiled faintly, wiped away a trace of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth, and bowed to Zhou Gangping. "As for the kindness of nurturing, I will repay you." "No need." Zhou Gangping turned his back, eyes full of pain. "I always knew that the son was cold-tempered, but I never thought of it. He is not cold, but ruthless. After all, she was the son she raised with her own hands." Seeing the other party walk away without hesitation, Liang Xiaohong collapsed all of a sudden, and took 2 quick steps to grab Zhou Zhonkong. "Xiaozhong, Xiaozhong, Xiaozhong. I don't know, it's good to say something, there is only one voice calling. Mom." Zhou Zhonkong looked at her calmly. if you miss me, you can visit me, I live in the family area of the school. And after a pause, he said, I'm getting married too, if mom is free, you can go to participate. Married, Liang Xiaohong immediately stopped crying, wiped away her tears, and asked hastily, Xiaozhong, why haven't I heard you mention it before? Which girl is it with, Zhou Gangping and Zhou Jingping couple? Mom will know when the time comes. Zhou Zhongkong broke away from Liang Xiaohong and grabbed her hand, I think we can still meet in the future. I have something to do and I have to go back to school. You let him go, Zhou Gangping roared. A book was thrown at the door, Zhou Zhongkong ducked his head and glanced at Zhou Gangping expressionlessly. Without looking back, he left the gate. Xiaozhong! Liang Xiaohong cried and chased outside, Zhou Gangping shouted without a trace of emotion. If you mess with him again, you won't be my wife. Liang Xiaohong stopped unconsciously. Turning around, he looked at her husband sadly, after all, he is the flesh that fell from my body, and he is your blood. Even if it is published in the newspaper, is he really not your son? It is true that the blood is not recognized. Zhou Gang stared straight at her, it's because he doesn't want to be a member of the Zhou family, it's not that I don't want him to be a member of the Zhou family. I'm here to fulfill him. Your son wishes I could fulfill him like this. He's still a child, he's gone the wrong way, shouldn't we give him a hand? 25, is he still a child? Zhou Gangping frowned, he is going to get married, but we don't know anything, and we don't know who he is going to marry, do you know why? This. Liang Xiaohong was speechless. Because the person he is going to marry is against us. Without him telling me, I already know why you think he broke off with us. It is estimated that the condition for the other party to agree to his marriage is that he break away from the Zhou family. For your own future and interests, at critical times, regardless of family members' life or death, this is what the son of your blood relatives does, even if I stop it, can you stop it? My Zhou family never does things that are difficult for others. I, Zhou Gangping, belong to the Zhou family, so of course I must obey the rules of the Zhou family. As he spoke, he looked at Zhou Jingping and Lin Yangkaiu and his wife, brother and sister-in-law, it's my fault for raising him instead of godfather. I apologize to my brother and sister-in-law on his behalf. Second, why bother? Zhou Jingping took a step forward to support him, it's normal for a child to not think about some things because he is young. Don't worry, he will come back when he thinks it through one day. Yeah, we don't blame him, Lin Yangkaiu also said, and went to the yard, pulled Liang Xiaohong back, and sighed softly, sister and sister, don't be too sad, everyone is angry now, just wait for the matter to pass. Gone. Sister-in-law, I'm all to blame for this. I used to think that it's not a bad thing for him to study hard and have a cool temper. Who knew that he was allowed to be like this? But sister-in-law, I am his mother, no matter how wrong he does, I will still hang on to him. Liang Xiaohong couldn't help sobbing again, whose temper do you think this child followed? How could such a thing be done? As he spoke, he looked at Zhou Gangping in disbelief, you said he was going to marry, is this possible? Zhou Gangping sighed quietly, I don't want to say anything, let's wait and see. Yes, he can be sure that his son is that kind of person, but it is enough to say it once, and say it again, he has neither the courage nor the strength. Zhou Jingping glanced at the time, and patted Zhou Gangping on the shoulder, let's not get confused, I'm late, and it's not certain who will win this game. Zhou Gangping unconsciously lowered his voice, brother, what news have you got? No, Zhou Jingping shook his head, but if you use your brain, you will have the answer. Zhou Gangping was not usually uncomfortable with the inscrutable behavior of the always cool elder brother. It was not until the other party disappeared outside the door that he came back to his senses, shook his head amusingly, and took his handbag to go to work. Liang Xiaohong wiped her tears and looked at Lin Yangkaiu, sister-in-law, Can I still see people like this? Lin Yangqiu sized her up. He said, relax at home for a day, anyway, your position is not like them. It doesn't matter if you go or not. At this time, Josei Kang had already gone downstairs with his handbag. Say goodbye to the two and go to work. In a blink of an eye, there were only 3 female relatives left in the family. Lin Yangqiu stared at the wall clock on the wall, feeling a little distracted. At nearly 8:30, footsteps finally came from outside the door, and then, Mr. Zhou, Mrs. Zhou, and Zhou Mi, Kong Lin Chuxia walked in talking and laughing. Looking at the faces of several people, Lin Yangqiu felt that her heart was about to stop beating. How is it? What else can I do? Mrs. Zhou gave her a white look. We all begged to the door. Are they ashamed not to agree? Don't worry, even if something happens to the Zhou family, they will stand with the Zhou family of. The third daughter-in-law of our family is already the granddaughter of their Jing family. The recognition ceremony will be held later. A bunch of old men and old ladies in our yard are invited to testify. Xiaomi has already sent a car to pick up her in-laws, waiting for them to come. Yes, let's go together. In Chu Xia's heart, he still had some pimples about Lin Yangqiu's previous actions, so. After entering the door, I just greeted each other with a smile, and didn't bother to say anything else. That's good, that's good. Liang Xiaohong breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking about his son, he raised his heart again. Dad, Mom, just now Zhongkong and his father had a falling out. Taking advantage of the process, Liang Xiaohong told everyone. Lin Yangqiu came to Chu Xia's side and whispered, Chu Xia. Mom has something to tell you, can you come to the bedroom with Mom? Okay, after all, the other party is a mother-in-law, even if she doesn't like it in her heart. Chu Xia doesn't want to break up with the other party right now, and she also wants to hear what the other party wants to tell her. Unexpectedly, as soon as she stood up, she was held back by Zhou Mikang. Why are you going? Chu Xia has a black thread on her head, she thought to herself. Can't you see, your mother asked me to have a private chat, why should I go? Xiaomi, I have something to do with Chu Xia. Lin Yangqiu sighed softly, trust Mom just once, just this time, okay. Later you can ask Chu Xia what Mom said to her. If you think what Mom said is wrong, you can ignore Mom from now on, okay. Zhou Mikang held Chu Xia's hand and did not let go. Lin Chuxia, as I said, no one can force you to do anything, go if you want, and don't go if you don't want to. I'm the one to do everything. Lin Yangqiu is about to act like a petrified son. Can we save some face for my mother? Didn't you just tell your daughter-in-law clearly that you don't have to listen to your mother, just follow your own temper? It feels so good to be respected. Chu Xia smiled at him. Mom and I will come out later, we can't miss the business. After speaking, he pulled Lin Yangqiu, who was still in a daze. Mom, let's go. After sitting down in the room, Lin Yangqiu was a little embarrassed. Chu Xia, do you not like Mom anymore? A little bit, Chu Xia admitted honestly. Hearing her answer like this, the embarrassment on Lin Yangqiu's face disappeared, replaced by a smile from the heart. If it were me, I would be angry too, but I'm not sure. When my mother-in-law asked me, I dare not answer truthfully. Chu Xia, I really like your personality, and I didn't pretend to like you before, because it's one thing to worry about Xiaomi's marriage, but I really don't hate you, you do. I really like the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family. When I say this, you may feel hypocritical, because this morning, I suddenly changed my attitude towards you. Originally, I didn't want to explain, but seeing that you suddenly treated me coldly, I decided to tell you the truth. You may know that Xiaomi has 4 aunts, but in fact, the Lin family has 5 daughters. The youngest is Lin Yanru, but she committed suicide and left this world when she was 18 years old. Yanru is the prettiest of our 5 sisters. She is versatile, singing and reciting are both strong points. A home with her is always full of laughter. When my father and mother were beaten as right distributed to labor camps, our family fell from heaven to hell. It happened so suddenly that my parents didn't have time to arrange everything. We were all married at that time, and when my parents were arrested, only Yanru was by my side, and the Red Guards who took the lead in arresting my parents took a fancy to Yanru, so they took her away as well. And then Lin Yangkai choked up and couldn't continue, but Chu Xia had already guessed the outcome of the matter. It must be a pure girl who was defiled by beasts. Unable to bear the pressure in her heart, she committed suicide. In an instant. She also understood the reason for the difference in Lin Yangkai's attitude before and after. Because I was worried that I would follow in Lin Yanru's footsteps, so she thought of using that method to push herself to the Jing family. Mom, Chu Xia hugged Lin Yanru, feeling extremely guilty. It's all because I misunderstood you. When I saw you like this morning, I felt very disappointed. I thought I regarded you as my own mother, but you only valued benefits. It was all my fault. Mom, I'm sorry. Stupid child. Lin Yangkai patted her on the back while crying, you look better than Yanru. Mom doesn't want to go through that kind of disaster again. Winners and losers, some things are unreasonable, yes, do you understand? Chu Xia nodded again and again, I understand. Stupid boy, how could you understand the cruelty of those people? Lin Yangkai said in a strong nasal voice, if something really happens to the Zhou family, you will become meat on their chopping board. Jiping and Xiangping have already married, they dare not do anything. Yu Tao's natal family is local, plus she has been married to Zikang for more than 2 years. They didn't dare to do anything. It's just you, silly boy, who doesn't know how dangerous it is without you. At this age, Mom is not afraid of anything anymore. But you are still the same age. You may feel that Mom looked at you in the morning. I was disappointed because I saw that you hadn't handed yourself over to Xiaomi. In fact, Mom was worried that they would look even crazier, so I was disappointed, you silly child. Mom. For a moment, Chu Xia didn't know what to say. She didn't expect that Lin Yangkai would confide all her thoughts in a straightforward manner, which made her very embarrassed. Chu Xia, we are a family, and the family must be honest with each other. After all, you and Mom don't know each other well. If Mom doesn't tell you, this matter may always be a knot in your heart. Mom originally wanted to let you slowly understand, but Lin Yangkai sighed, Mom has to admit, seeing how nervous Xiaomi is towards you, Mom is jealous, and Mom doesn't want to keep being cold with you like this. Let Xiaomi became more and more indifferent to her mother. This is an honest mother-in-law. In this way, her actions are really understandable. With Zhou Mikang's temperament, during the period of Lin Yangkai's Cold War with her, he must be on his side. Then, as long as Lin Yangkai has a Cold War with himself for a day, he will have a Cold War with his son for a day. It is acceptable to have a Cold War with herself, but fighting with my son. However, no matter what, Lin Yangkai is a great mother. She will not only love her daughter-in-law because she loves her son, but also truly consider her daughter-in-law. By the way, Zhu Xingkan didn't make things difficult for you when you went to Jing's house, right? Lin Yangkai asked suddenly. No. Chu Xia shook her head, with a smile in her eyes. She suddenly felt that she also had a sense of belonging to the city. Looking at her expression, how could Lin Yangkai not understand? She was relieved and at the same time a little apprehensive. Chu Xia, I am Xiaomi's biological mother, which means that my future grandson and granddaughter are related by blood. And my grandson and granddaughter are related by blood, so in this way, our mother and I are also related by blood, and the closest relative to you, besides your own mother, is my mother-in-law, and Zhu Xingkan will be ranked behind me. Mom, I know. Chu Xia tried hard to hold back a smile. The mother-in-law and godmother are indeed happy friends. At that time, Zhu Xingkan also had a theory with her, but what Zhu Xingkan said was, Chuxia, I am your godmother. There is only a little difference between you and your mother. I will always put your interests above Xiaomi's interests. Your mother-in-law is different. She is always facing her son. If you have any conflicts with Xiaomi, she definitely blames you all, so, in this way, the one who kissed you was the godmother, not your mother-in-law, so Lin Yangqiu must be behind me. Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan and the others got up early in the morning, waiting for their daughter and son-in-law to come and take them out to play. As a result, they waited until after 8 o'clock, but no one was seen, and they became anxious. Based on their understanding of their son-in-law, if they hadn't encountered something that they couldn't leave, the Jedi would not miss the appointment. In the process of waiting, they felt agitated in their hearts. And it's not just them, except for Lin Xiahua and Zhao Qian, everyone else is slowly getting anxious. Fortunately, Grandpa Dagong and Grandma Chen are in charge, persuading everyone from time to time, so that everyone's hearts are somewhat calmer. Lin Xiahua and Zhao Qian were not in a hurry because they had never dealt with Zhou Mikang before and didn't know him well. They took it for granted that a powerful son-in-law would of course take the lead at a time like this. Yesterday, when the two mothers knew that the young soldier who sent them back was the head of the regiment and Chuxia's son-in-law, their jaws and eyeballs almost fell out of shock. They also guessed that he was a driver or an orderly, but they didn't expect that he was really the head of the regiment. Such a young leader. Why did Chuxia let such a good thing happen? At night, when the two of them took off their dirty clothes and soaked in the big bathtub, they experienced even more what the difference is. Thinking that they were huddled in the haystacks last night and pretended to be nest chickens, and today they lived a life like an emperor, which strengthened Lin Xiahua's determination to find a powerful son-in-law for her daughter. The couple huddled under the covers and chatted all night, and finally reached an agreement that Chuxia should help find a powerful young military officer to be his son-in-law. This matter is settled. If it wasn't for Lin Xiahua's repeated persuasion, it would be too difficult to find a leader at a young age, and Zhao Qian still insisted on finding a leader or deputy leader. As for whether the conditions between Zhao Qian and Lin Chuxia were equal, the two women chose to ignore them together. Anyway, they felt in their hearts that if Chuxia hadn't taken the opportunity, at this moment, the one who would marry the head of the group must be Qian Tube. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 236. Seeing that the hour hand tack pointed to 9 o'clock, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan couldn't sit still. Let's go to Zhou's house, the couple said almost at the same time, and nodded at the same time. Okay. He. Zhao Yushan and his wife, Fat Aunt Lin Baojuan and the others, who were also anxious to death, laughed amused by the couple's questions and answers. Can the two of you remember how to get to Zhou's house? Given that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan didn't know the way, Zhao Yushan expressed doubts. The couple looked at each other, sighed dejectedly. Zhao Yulan is a pure road idiot, Lin Baohe is better than her, but she is not the kind who absolutely remembers the way, otherwise she would not go out for a walk and run to someone else's house without finding the door up. Suddenly, the couple's eyes turned to Lu Ma, and before they could speak, Lu Ma smiled wryly. Sir, madam, you should wait a little longer. We have to walk a long way by car, and when we get to the old house, maybe the third young master and the third young lady have already arrived here. Thinking about it, it was the same thing. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe had no choice but to sit back, but looking at the wringing of the couple's hands, they knew that they were definitely in a panic. They all have sons and daughters. Comparing their hearts, of course they understand the couple's current mood. Just calm down and wait. What can happen to a family like the Zhou family? After a pause, Zhao Yushan comforted, our small family doesn't have so many rules, we can go out whenever we want, but how can a big family like Joe's be like us? Luo Gangshun quickly nodded in agreement. That's right, the two children just came back yesterday and stayed for a day, and they will come back the next day. You have to worry about what the elders over there think. Yes, yes, even if it is for the ease of life in Joe's house after early summer, a bowl of water must be leveled. Fat Ant is absolutely the only one who follows her husband's lead. Li Aiwan also said, Yulan, Bao he. It's such a rationale. If the young couple only cares about their mother's family and ignores their husband's family, the Joe family will definitely not like it. If you don't get along well with your in-laws, how will you live after Chuxia? Captain Xiaozhou loves our Chuxia so much, so he decided to do this because of this, brother, sister-in-law. Don't be too hasty, Lin Baojuan said. Hearing what he said, the expressions of Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe really looked better. Yesterday, the daughter and son-in-law stayed here for a whole day, and they will come back the next day. They must take into account the thoughts of Joe's parents and elders, and eat with them in the morning. It is also necessary to have a meal and chat. Thinking of this, the couple let out a long sigh of relief. It's the two of us. Sister-in-law, uncle. Seeing the smiles on the faces of the couple, Zhao Qian hurried over. Make a pitiful look. I used to be ignorant and always bullied my sister. I regret it now. Sister-in-law and uncle, please help me speak well in front of Chu Xia, and I will definitely have a good time with her in the future. Luo Xiaoxian couldn't hold back. Spray it, and simply say it. Sister Qian, don't you also want to find an officer? This child. What nonsense, the fat ant patted her daughter. Your sister Qian is your second aunt's favorite, how can you be willing to marry her so far? She looked at Lin Xiahua to make sure, her second aunt, am I right? Regarding the matter of Lin Xiahua and Chu Xia's uncle colluding to deal with Chu Xia's family, Fat Ant was very bitter. Now, seeing what Lin Xiahua's mother and daughter meant, she was very contemptuous. It's a pity, for a person like Lin Xiahua, even if he heard the meaning of Fat Ant's words, how could he really care? For her, immediate interests are the most important thing, and she immediately smiled like a flower. She is fat, I am enlightened. If I really want a good family, let alone marrying here, even if I marry far away, I will marry you. I'm also happy, the child is doing well, it's better than anything else. No matter how precious I am, I can't protect her for the rest of my life, and marrying a good man is the right thing to do. Wang Meifeng sneered, second aunt, don't think about it like this, just like your daughter, you still want to marry an officer, and people think her fingers are too thick to carry shoes for an officer. Okay. How did we offend you? Why are you talking so viciously? Lin Xiahua frowned and looked at Zhao Yuing, elder sister, she is your daughter, why don't you just leave her alone? Don't bring my mother up. I'm talking about my own thoughts. What does it matter to my mother? Besides, ask everyone here, who thinks that Zhao Qian is qualified to marry an officer. Wang Meifeng curled her lips, I don't care. Take a pee and take care of yourself. Wang Meifeng, Zhao Qian rushed towards Wang Meifeng with a cry, what do you think you are? You robbed Chu Xia's in-laws' house and Chu Xia's job, why do you have the face to stand here? I want to replace Chu Xia, I will teach you a good lesson. Wang Meifeng was holding back her stomach and had nowhere to vent her anger. Although she had made a bet with Chu Xia that she would have a better life than Chu Xia in the future, after all, her in-laws' family was far from Chu Xia's in-laws' family, how could she feel relieved? Balance down? Unexpectedly, when she hadn't recovered her balance, Zhao Qian, a second-class cripple, actually made the same request as she made yesterday, which made her feel like she had been exposed by life. Is she in the same condition as Zhao Qian? A big fat tube less than 1.5 meters tall, and so ugly, dared to marry an officer, it was so insulting to her. Well, she vented her anger, but she really needs a channel to vent. As for whether such a performance will embarrass everyone in front of everyone, does she still need to care? After what happened yesterday, she had already lost her face to the Pacific Ocean, and she wasn't close to losing a little more. Moreover, she didn't do this without her own thoughts. As long as Chuxia keeps in touch with her and makes her in-laws look up to her, then it doesn't matter who wins or loses in the end. But the point is, the relationship between her and Chuxia was too estranged before, and now, she needs to do something to mend the relationship between the two. She absolutely believed that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan didn't like Zhao Qian's request. As for Lin Chuxia, it was even more impossible to agree to Zhao Qian's request. To sum up the above 2 points, she solved this matter for them, which lost her face, but saved the faces of Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan, and Lin Chuxia. Just imagine, will the relationship between the family of 3 and her go further? They were originally close relatives. In addition, she did it deliberately, and there is also the relationship with her mother Zhao Yueying. She believed that one day, her aunt's family would get close to her. Since it is hopeless to come to a big city, it is also good to be able to live in a small place. The temperament of these two is not attractive, so, seeing the two are torn together. None of the juniors went up to fight, and the two chose to ignore the shouts of the elders. Zhao Yueying, Zhao Yuqui, and Li Aiwan had no choice but to step forward and pull the two apart. As for Zhao Qian's mother, Lin Ziahua, when the two started fighting, she had already come to break the fight. There were several bloody scratches on Wang Meifeng's face. Zhao Qian has nothing but messy hair. Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao felt ashamed, except for their Zhao family. And the relatives of the Lin family. Do these two have any shame? You wait for me, Wang Meifeng, if I let you marry properly, I won't be Zhao Qian. Threat to Zhao Qian. Wang Meifeng really wished that if Zhao Qian really messed up her marriage, would Lin Chuxia not help her? To know. She made enemies with Zhao Qian to help Lin Chuxia. Thinking of this, Wang Meifeng replied viciously, if you have the ability, you will interfere. If you have the ability, you will marry into Chiang's family. Okay, you said that. Don't cry then. A low-ground cannon like you still has the face to say this. Shut up both of you, Mrs. Zhao glared at the two cousins, do you still want to lose face in front of so many uncles and uncles? You don't want to lose face, the Zhao family wants it? Don't pretend that everyone doesn't know about your thoughts, I will tell you the truth in front of the big guys today, even if Chuxia is willing to help you, I will not agree. I don't agree either, Mr. Zhao echoed. The old lady Zhao continued, it was her chance to marry into the Zhou family in early summer. It has nothing to do with you. Not only the two of you, but also the other daughters and boys of the Zhao family, don't even think about using the name of early summer to get involved with Zhou. Homelight. If you really are sisters in Nianxia and you want her to live a good life, then stop counting her like this. Mr. Zhao sighed heavily, have you ever thought about the difference between the Lin family and the Zhou family? Well, if this bunch of poor relatives push past, can the Zhou family still look up to Chuxia? You are relatives of Chuxia, have you ever thought about her difficulties? I saw her beauty in my eyes, and I just wanted to be in her light. If she really hurt her so much that she couldn't stay in the Zhou family, do you think you can continue to be in the light? That's her stupidity. Zhao Qian curled her lips and muttered in a low voice. Qian, what did you say? Mr. Zhao stared at Zhao Qian with stern eyes, speak up, say it again. Zhao Qian shrank her shoulders, not daring to say anything more. For grandpa, she is still afraid. Second brother, Mr. Zhao looked at Zhao Kefeng, you are a man, and you can't control your daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law. What else do you think you can do? Father. Zhao Yufeng was ashamed and didn't know what to say. How did I give birth to a son like you? Mr. Zhao couldn't help but push the old lady, tell me, how did we give birth to such a son? Okay, it's a happy day, don't look for these things to pay off, let's go back and solve these things slowly, and now we are talking about early summer. Ms. Zhao straightened her body. I will say it again, the Zhao family, everyone, let me live my life honestly. If anyone dares to make trouble for Chu Xia, don't think my old lady is ruthless. Lin Baojuan's expression became unnatural. Chu Xia's son-in-law agreed to his son's military service, so does that count as causing trouble for Chu Xia? Thinking of this, she yelled at her son who was still watching the fun, De Jiang. Mom, what's the matter? Luan Qingshu already understood what his wife meant, so he lowered his voice and said to De Jiang, go out with Dad for a while. When the father came outside, Luan De Jiang scratched his head. Father, what's the matter? De Jiang, let's not be soldiers anymore, okay? Why? Luan De Jiang's face flushed instantly. Father, I want to be a soldier. De Jiang, the Zhao family doesn't cause trouble for Chuxia, you say it's just you. Luan Qingshu sighed. Father also wants you to be a soldier, but... Hearing what your grandma Zhao said, I think so too. Chuxia is not easy, let's not make trouble for her. Will it work? Luan De Jiang lowered his head and did not speak. Luan Qingshu, who knew his temper well, knew that he was not happy, so he sighed. De Jiang, how can father not wish you well? But, you have no education, even if you go to the army, you are doing your best. Within 2 years, you still have to go back home and farm, it's not worth it. Father loves work points, Luan De Jiang said in an affirmative tone. If you miss Dad so much, then it's because you feel bad about being Dad. Luan Qingshu looked at the mountains stretching in the distance. When Dad was young, he also wanted to be a soldier, but your grandma didn't agree, so he didn't go. Then, Dad felt very uncomfortable, but thinking about it now, if Dad went to be a soldier, there would be no mother without you. Dad thinks it's good for the family to be together. Why didn't we disappear when Dad became a soldier? This was the first time Luan De Jiang heard his dad say this. He asked curiously. You Uncle Qinglin and Uncle Qingdong were recruited together with Dad. Luan De Jiang was speechless. Uncle Qinglin and Uncle Qingdong, one is missing an arm. One was missing a leg, and when the two were soldiers, they were building roads and were blown up by detonators. Without education, you can only do hard work. Luan Qingshu sighed again. If you don't do hard work, you have to go through the back door. It's not good for Chu Xia. De Jiang, listen to Dad, and Dad won't hurt you. Yeah, Luan De Jiang nodded. I told my brother-in-law that I won't be a soldier anymore, I'm farming at home. Good son. Luan Qingshu hugged him and patted him on the shoulder. Father already knows that you are sensible. When the father and son returned to the living room, Lin Baojuan looked at the father and son with a look of apprehension. She was afraid that her son would quarrel with her husband and wanted to go out, but she also felt that it was not good for the whole family to hide out. My heart is on fire. Mother, I won't be a soldier anymore, Luan De Jiang said. Lin Baojuan sighed softly, but said nothing. She didn't want her son to implicate her niece, but she felt a little uncomfortable when she heard her son say this with her own ears. The palms and backs of her hands were full of flesh. It was really difficult for her to do so. At this moment, the quarrel in the Zhao family had subsided, and Zhao Qian sat curled up beside Lin Xiahua with a gloomy face. Just when the atmosphere in the room was suppressed to the extreme, there was the sound of parking outside the door. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan stood up suddenly, and after that, Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang entered the courtyard. Father, Mother, I'm sorry, something happened. Zhou Mikang apologized to the two, then looked at the others, greeted them one by one, and then said, I'm really sorry, if something happened at home, I just came late. While talking, Zhou Hanliang walked in. Zhou Mikang pointed at him, and said, I can't get away today, let Han Liang accompany everyone to go shopping, and in the afternoon, he will take everyone back. Take everyone back in the afternoon? If it hadn't been for the shouting from Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao just now, some people would probably express their dissatisfaction with this arrangement. After what happened just now, even if everyone had thoughts in their hearts, they would not say anything. Grandma, Grandpa, Father, Mother, let me discuss something with you. Zhou Mikang pulled Mr. Zhao, Mrs. Zhao, and Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan aside, and spoke in a low voice, while the others looked over there with worried faces. Grandpa Dagang waved to Chu Xia. Xia, are you alright? Grandpa Dagang, you and Grandma had fun, it's fine. After Chu Xia finished speaking, he said to the elders who looked at Zhou Mikang and the others with worried faces, Uncle, Aunt, second aunt, don't worry, it's nothing, it's just some things within the local rules, we didn't know about it before, so we agreed to go out to play together today. But I only found out when I woke up this morning and listened to Grandpa and the others. What custom? Lin Xiahua asked in a shrill voice, is it your in-laws' family's excuse that they don't want us to stay here? Second aunt can think whatever she wants. Chu Xia glanced at her lightly, and pulled Luo Xiaoxian aside. Xiaoxian, let me tell you the specifics later, anyway, today, you can help take care of her. Luo Xiaoxian nodded, I know, don't worry. After Zhou Hanliang drove everyone away, Zhao Yulan and his wife, Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao were left in the ancestral house. Several people looked at Zhou Mikang and Chu Xia with nervous expressions. What Zhou Mikang told them was that Chu Xia wanted to recognize a high-ranking official as a godfather, and let them go too. Since Chu Xia's grandparents were not here, please invite Mrs. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao to go with them. For no reason. Why do you have to recognize who you are as a grandfather? No matter how honest Ren Zhao Yulan and his wife were, they still felt that something was wrong. As for Mr. Zhao, Mrs. Zhao, let alone Mrs. Zhao. Zhou Hanliang smiled apologetically at the four of them, Grandma and Grandpa. Parents, something happened to the Zhou family. I'll explain it to you on the way. He waved to Mama Lu. Third young master, what are your orders? Lu Ma asked respectfully. You packed everyone's luggage in advance, parked a van behind the yard, and moved them there. Lu Ma replied yes, but she was extremely surprised in her heart. Isn't this too impolite? If someone comes to forcibly seize the house, don't confront them head on. Let them do it. Third young master. Mama Liu's voice trembled immediately. She had already experienced this kind of thing once. Why would it happen again? That's it, you hurry up and take Xiaojing to clean up. Xiaojing is a younger nanny who doesn't talk much and usually stays in the kitchen. Yes, Mama Lu responded, and took Xiaojing upstairs. Grandma, Grandpa, Father, Mother, let's go. Zhou Mikang politely stretched out his hand, signaling the elders to go first. After getting into the car, the four elders sat there nervously. They didn't dare to show their air. They had heard what Zhou Mikang told the nanny just now. If they didn't know how serious what happened to Zhou's family. Live in vain. Grandma, Grandpa, Father, Mother, let me tell you about this. Wait for Chu Xia to finish explaining the ins and outs of the matter. The four elders remained silent for a long time. Xiaomi, Chu Xia, I'll leave it to you after a while, Mrs. Zhao said. Grandma, don't worry, even if I go to jail, I will definitely settle Chu Xia in advance. Grandpa believes, I saw you right. Thank you, Grandpa. Evil can outshine good, Xiaomi, it's fine. Grandma, I know. Old lady, you finally said something useful. What did I say that didn't work? Zhao Yulan hugged her daughter and didn't say a word. At a time like this, saying anything was useless. She believed in the theory of fate, or that her daughter was destined to be like this. In any case, she has seen the sincerity of the son-in-law towards her daughter. So, suffering and happiness are what the daughter should suffer. She doesn't want to persuade or interfere with anything, but let her say something nice, she also said not come out. Lin Bao he had the same idea as her, hugging his wife and daughter Kikai with his big hands, with a serious expression on his face. Zhou Mikang glanced at a few people from the rearview mirror, and there was warmth in his eyes. After knowing the truth, they didn't deny or question him. In his life, the most correct thing he did was to choose this little girl as his wife. The car drove straight to Jing's house. MRS Zhou and MRS Zhou Jingping have been waiting at Jing's house for a long time. Seeing Chu Xia's family come in, they warmly greeted them. There was another chatter between the two sides. Then, the witnesses invited by the Zhou family and the Jing family also arrived one after another. When the hour hand reached 10:30, the last witness, Mr. Wan, arrived. Seeing her, Mr. Zhou greeted her excitedly, "Brother Wan, thank you so much." "Why are you being polite?" Elder Wan chuckled, and looked at the stunned Zhao Yulan and Lin Bao he, "Xiao Lin, Xiao Zhao, we met again, why, you don't recognize me?" No, no, Zhao Yulan hurriedly said, "I didn't expect to meet you here. A few days ago, I told Bao he that when I would see you, I would like to thank you." "Thank me?" Old man Wan raised his eyebrows, "Thank you for what?" "Thank you for teaching Chu Xia, we didn't know that you taught her so many things." Chu Xia stood there biting the bullet, wailing loudly in his heart, "God, the earth, how could it be such a coincidence? Why did we meet here, Mr. Wan? Didn't he say he went to the capital?" "That's right, this old man is the old man who has owed Chuxia Tongzi a whole lot, such as musical instruments, knowledge of various subjects. Anyway, as long as she can't explain where she learned it from, it will all fall on the head of old man Wan." In fact, she didn't know much about Mr. Wan. However, from the first time she saw this old man, she knew that he was unusual, but, after less than 2 months of getting along, the old man rehabilitated and left. When he left, he did give her some of his unwanted items. And the friendship between her and the old man was just over 2 months. From Luo Xiaoqian's words, she can be sure that before this, the deity and Mr. Wan were casual acquaintances, and she was attracted by the other party's book. The lonely old man finally met someone with similar hobbies. During that time, he had a lot of chats with her. It was also because of that she knew that the other party knew a lot of things. Therefore, she settled down without any pressure. On the other side, Mr. Wan didn't know that he had carried so much credit on his body. He only thought that Zhao Yulan and his wife were talking about going to him to read books in early summer, and immediately laughed, "I can't say that." During that time, Xiao Chuxia also brought me a lot of fun, said and waved to Chu Xia, "Little Chu Xia, don't you know Grandpa? Grandpa Wan." Chu Xia threw herself into the arms of Mr. Wan as if awakened suddenly, "I never expected to meet you here, I was so excited, Grandpa. You didn't even get to buy something delicious when you left. Now, I can invite you, and when I turn around, I must treat you to delicious food. This is our original agreement, you can't go back on your word." "Okay, I'll wait for Xiao Chuxia to invite me to eat delicious food." Old man Wan looked at old man Jing with a smile, "Old man, it's a good deal for you. If I knew that Chu Xia was the little Chu Xia I knew, how could it be your turn? This is a good boy. You are really making a lot of money. No, I can't just let you make money alone. Why don't we be her grandfather together?" As he spoke, he looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. "I also want to recognize this as my granddaughter. Do you have any objections?" No opinion, the couple hurriedly said. "Just a joke, can there be a small coffee here? Anyway, just catch everything that comes to your door." "This old man, you have to argue with me about everything," old man Jing snorted, and looked at old man Zhou. "Old Zhou, it would be nice to have one more person to love Xiao Chu Xia, so let's admit it together." "Okay," Mr. Zhou's brows and eyes lit up with joy, he never thought that this Mr. Joe actually knew his grandson-in-law. That would be great. After all, he has experienced too many things. This time the Joe family is different from last time. The trough time will not be too long, but everyone in the Joe family can wait, only Chusia can't wait. Now it's alright, with this great God covering him, Xiaoyuan shouldn't dare to do anything to Chusia. In his opinion, it's nothing for a man to get hurt a little bit, but a little girl must never be in trouble. Zhu Xingkan also woke up from the shock, stepped forward and pulled Chusia into her arms, shedding tears of joy. Little Chusia, you are a lucky person, your godmother has already seen it, and now she has verified it. Hey, this time it really made your mother-in-law a lot of money. However, your mother-in-law is still not convinced. I said that it is best for you to marry Xiaojie. If you marry our family, how can you meet Xiaoyuan? Pervert. Zhu Xingkan, Lin Yangkai shouted angrily, don't speak ill of me in front of my daughter-in-law. Did I speak ill of you? I'm telling the truth. Zhu Xingkan curled her lips. Dare you say that the incident this time is not because your family has involved Xiao Chuxia? I won't talk nonsense with you. You don't care at all. Zhu Xingkan proudly puffed her chest out, and came to Zhao Yulan with Chuxia in her arms. Sister, I will be Chuxia's godmother from now on, and I will treat her as my own daughter. Hello, Lin Yangkai interrupted her. Chuxia recognized Uncle Jing as a godfather. What does that have to do with you? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 237. Isn't my father-in-law's granddaughter my goddaughter? What logic do you have? Zhu Xingkan glanced at her contemptuously. You stand back now, and I will protect Xiao Chuxia during this time, so it has nothing to do with you. Lin Yangkai wanted to argue a few more words, but then her face darkened and she didn't say anything. That's right, during this period of time, she can't protect Chuxia's safety at all. Since Zhu Xingkan is willing to protect her, what else can she argue about? Could it be that you really wait until something happens to your daughter-in-law before you regret it? Xingkan, no matter what, we do this for the good of Chuxia. Yang Kaiu is Chuxia's mother-in-law. This is a certainty, so just keep your mouth open, Mrs. Joe said, with a slap in the face, pulling Chuxia in front of her. This is my granddaughter-in-law, no one can take it away. Auntie, your change is quite fast, Zhu Xingkan laughed. Although I feel uncomfortable after losing Xiao Chuxia's daughter-in-law, I am still very happy to see you protecting Xiao Chuxia so much. That's alright, don't tell me if you have something or nothing in front of me, Mrs. Joe said and looked at Mr. Joe. Has the time come yet? It's 2 minutes away. Mr. Joe smiled and rushed to the hands of the old men and women in the room. I have remembered everyone's kindness to our Joe family. Looking back, the Joe family will repay this kindness sooner or later. Okay, old Joe, why are you talking nonsense? That's right. If you want to talk nonsense, it's better than anything else if you let me take one more step in chess. Well, I just ask him not to ruin the chess. Playing chess is like fighting a war. He is the most annoying. That's right, old Joe. Every time Lao Wang goes back from playing chess with you, he's full of anger. If you give in to him, it's better than anything else. People are under the roof. I have to bow my head. Now is the time to use the big guy. Even though he was reprimanded, Mr. Joe did not dare to express his dissatisfaction, and happily agreed one by one. On the contrary, it made the eyes of several old men and women looking at Chuxia more meaningful. Regarding the marriage of the third son of the Joe family, everyone looked at it with a very strange attitude. No one here is unaware of the marriage between the Joe family and the Ye family, and no one here is unaware of the cancellation of the in-laws between the Joe family and the Ye family. In the following years, Zhou Mikang never liked any woman again. The anxiety of the Zhou family was felt very clearly by everyone. Therefore, when they learned that Zhou Mikang was going to get married, Everyone was very curious about which daughter-in-law made the little stubborn head of the old Joe family feel relieved. After asking around, the news was that the little stubborn head married is a rural hour. Everyone unanimously agreed to an answer: this marriage was just to keep everyone's mouths shut. Yes, if you marry a daughter of everyone. Leave it alone at home, can people let it? Then it's better to marry the daughter of a family whose family circumstances are thousands of miles away, for mutual benefit. Believe me, the result is the best. Today. What did everyone think when they were found one by one to be witnesses? Regardless of whether this daughter-in-law is satisfied or not, if she is bullied, the Joe family will lose face. Although some of them were not from the same faction as the Joe family, they recognized the behavior of the Joe family. Therefore, based on the principle of helping others if they could, they came without excuses. When seeing Mr. Wan, everyone was still rejoicing. Fortunately they came. Who is Mr. Wan? It's the old friend of the current big guy who is stubborn and looks to win. Being able to stand on the same front as him is definitely good for them. To put it bluntly, most of the people invited today are neutral. That is, neither the Joe family is in the same faction, nor the Xiao family is in the same faction. For them, it is actually observing. Of course, not all people stand in a certain faction, and some of them may never stand in a faction. This is the political need and balance technique. But in any case, if you have the same record as the current ruler, you will never suffer a loss. As for the success of the Xiao family's faction, they are not optimistic. They even regarded this as a grasshopper after autumn. It's just that Xiao's father and son don't think so, and their big guys don't think so either. If they think so, they won't do such outrageous things. What the Zhou family encountered this time was a major event, but it was by no means a major event, they were very sure. Now that they saw this old man Wan, they were even more sure. On time, Mr. Jing and Mr. Wan accepted the goddaughter Chu Xia. After drinking the tea that Chu Xia handed over, the two old men drank it all in one gulp. All the people present congratulated in unison. Grandpa Zhao and Mrs. Zhao looked at this scene, very nervous and excited. They are incomparable to everyone sitting in this room, but that doesn't mean they can't recognize the form. Anyone in this room who is estimated to be taken out is a person who makes the land tremble. From this point, they also deeply understand that in the future, the descendants of the Zhao family must be strictly restrained, and they must not bring trouble to Chuxia. It has to be said that Chu Xia is blessed in this era. First, she met a pair of parents who doted on her unprincipled. In fact, she met a pair of sensible grandparents who really loved her, which made up for her lack of a pair of sensible grandparents. It is definitely not a good thing if there is no restraint from a wise elder in the family. Take the present as an example. The Zhao family's second uncle and aunt are not likable people, but with the pressure of Mrs. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao, things will never go to the worst. As for the Lin family, Uncle Lin and Uncle Lin's family, under the leadership of Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin, ran more and more happily on the crossroads. One day, they will taste the pain of not having a pair of sensible parents. After the ceremony was over, the old men and women sat for a while and then left. After all, this confession. Under such special circumstances, I believe that the Zhou family will be busy with other things after they are done with this matter. Sitting still? That is absolutely impossible. Follow-up matters. Grandpa took advantage of the time when everyone was giving away, and Chu Xia sat next to Mr. Wan. With a flattering smile, "Grandpa, thank you for coming." "Little Chuxia, you seem to be getting smarter and smarter." Elder Wan chuckled. "Why does Grandpa think that you have changed more and more after we haven't seen you for a few months?" Chu Xia's heart skipped a beat, but there was a sweet smile on his face. "Grandpa, look at what you said. I'm getting bigger and bigger, isn't it just getting more and more sensible? In order to keep full attendance and not to be lazy this month, I will use this to top it first." After 40 minutes, I will upload all of them. Please forgive me. I will upload them soon to vote for recommendation votes and monthly tickets. Your support. That's my biggest motivation. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 238. Chapter 238. I started this article because of an idea that came to me after meeting many people of this era. As for the specific year, Nuan weighed left and right at that time and chose 77 years. In this year, the college entrance examination was resumed. In this year, a new leader came to power and gradually gained a firm foothold. After that, it gradually merged with the era we are in now. Why choose this year? I remember that before writing the article, Nuan received overwhelming criticism, saying that it is difficult to write in this era and it is easy to rush. But Nuan, I wrote it anyway. Even Nuan's editor said Nuan, who has always been a niche, never changed. But in real operation, I found that it is not so difficult. If you want to conform to reality, you will be depressed. You can have YY, but if you pass it, you will float. Nuan has been groping, wanting to write a warm story that belongs to that era and makes us smile. But that era was really not warm enough. Nuan's father and some of the leaders around Nuan came from that era, and Nuan found that they had mixed feelings about that era, both nostalgic and fearful. Like Dad Nuan, until now, as long as he heard the sound of the loudspeaker, he would unconsciously feel fear. Some readers said that they don't understand how a family like the Zhou family can panic like that when things happen. For the sake of harmony, I can't touch too much on politics. However, the era of this incident, everyone can understand at once that it is the era of the alternation of old and new leaders. What the Zhou family encountered this time was a battle of lost factions, and it was by no means the Zhou family's efforts to save it. No matter how powerful the family is, I believe everyone knows what the consequences will be when they meet the country. It is still the case now, let alone in that era. Choosing 77 years, I just don't want to be too stressful, and I need to stress some burdens for the protagonist, so, dear friends, be more patient, let Nuan have confidence, and keep writing this story. To be honest, in the past few days, seeing the deserted scene, warm, I don't know what to do. Please believe in Nuan, this will not be a depressing story, it will only be a warm story. Tomorrow, it will be updated normally. Today, Nuan is really depressed for a day, always in a kind of inexplicable entanglement, panicking in my heart. Alas, writer, it is really not easy. Please support the genuine version. Well, we're fighting with our lives, honestly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 239. Chu Xia glared at old man Wan with black eyes. When Grandpa Wan was in Dalan village, my family didn't even own half of the house. It's obviously making fun of him by saying this now. Grandpa is so unkind. He. Old man Wan squinted and smiled, pointing to the sofa, signaling Chu Xia to sit down. I haven't seen you for a few months, and Xiao Chu Xia's lip service is getting better and better. Thank you Grandpa for the compliment. The smile on Mr. Wan's face grew stronger. Do you think I'm complimenting you? Chu Xia said with an extremely serious expression, of course. Ha ha ha. Master Wan burst out laughing. Grandpa, don't wait for such a joker. Chu Xia said, I'm both internal and external, and I'm not superficial. Ha ha ha. Mr. Wan's laughter became brighter. Xiao Chuxia, Grandpa is waiting for the day when you can achieve both internally and externally. A woman in her early 50s came out of the kitchen with a plate of cut fruits, smiled respectfully at old man Wan, and put the fruit plate in front of Chu Xia. Little comrade, please eat some fruit. Chu Xia nodded to her politely, thank you. Mr. Wan looked at the woman, sister-in-law Yin, Xiao Chuxia is my god-granddaughter. She and her parents will be living here during this time. You can clean up the 2 rooms and come out later. Yes, Wan Lao, I'll go right away. When Mrs. Yin went upstairs, Chu Xia looked seriously at Mr. Wan, Grandpa, I will be filial to you. Okay, Mr. Wan smiled and nodded, there are comings and goings, it should be. Chu Xia laughed, Grandpa, you are different from before. Mr. Wan raised his eyebrows, why is it different? Chu Xia thought for a while and said, you were easygoing before. But you are not as easygoing as you are now. In fact, for the relationship between the deity and the old man. She has always wondered that this deity can be said to be a spoiled little girl, but she only has great respect for Mr. Wan, and it is because of this that she can often go to Mr. Wan's place to read books. Silly boy, Grandpa was charged with crimes before, so his mood is naturally different from now. Old Master Wan sighed softly, then changed into a smiling face, and pointed to the piano standing by the wall, little girl. Didn't you say that you have a great feeling for musical instruments? Grandpa taught you to play the piano. Would you like to learn? Obviously, the old man didn't want to reminisce about the past, so he changed the topic. Chu Xia responded happily, stepped forward and pressed the keys with a curious expression. Listening to the crisp sound of the piano, her heartstrings moved inexplicably. I don't like practicing piano because I take it as a task. Now touching the familiar keys again, the feeling in my heart is completely different. After all, it is something that has grown up with it since childhood. It is impossible to say that there is no feeling at all. Just like this moment, her heart surged uncontrollably. There is even an urge to sit down and play a song heartily. Of course, she knew it couldn't be done. Grandpa. I like this. Chu Xia looked at Mr. Wan with bright eyes. This might be the best way. With Mr. Wan as the teacher, it is possible for her to sit in front of the piano and play openly. People, do you really know how to cherish when you lose it? In the past, she hoped that she would never see the piano, never touch the piano, and even before that, she insisted on thinking so, but now she knows that she has been wrong all along. When interests become tasks, people are suffering. When interests are only interests, people are happy. So, now that she wants to become a doctor, will she, one day, be like the piano? For a moment, her heart was a little confused. She had been standing with her back to Mr. Wan, who didn't see her face, only thought that she was curious about new things, so she sat there with a smile and didn't move, allowing her to touch around carefully. After a long time, her heart gradually settled down, and she got into a dead end again. In the past, she lived under the care of her parents, without any pressure in life, and without experiencing any wind and rain, so her interest will become a task. Now she is working hard to support her parents. Although she is not a pine and cypress on a cliff, she is still a small tree that has been hit by the wind and rain. Studying medicine is not an interest, but a goal. Therefore, she believes that she will become more and more tough. After thinking about this, the look on her face relaxed. She turned around and looked at Mr. Wan with a smile. Grandpa, can I ask you something? Speak. Mr. Wan nodded. Chu Xia came to her and sat down. Will the Zhou family's matter be serious this time? You brought me here and didn't let me accompany my parents to send grandma and grandpa away. Take me away by hand. Mr. Wan laughed helplessly, and for a moment, he said, silly girl, you are really lawless when you are the Xiao family. If you say you are taken away, will you be taken away? Then. Chu Xia scratched her head in embarrassment. She really thought so before, it seemed that it was a joke. Chu Xia. Elder Wan's expression became serious. It's possible that you won't be able to see Xiaozhou for the time being. Grandpa doesn't want you to face that scene. So fast? Chu Xia froze there all of a sudden. At this time, the Zhou family's ancestral house was in a state of chaos. Zhou Hanliang took everyone to visit the famous scenic spots, bought some local specialties, and then sent everyone back to the ancestral home. Earlier, Lu Ma had already prepared lunch in advance. While eating lunch, Zhou Mikang, MRS Zhao, and Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan came over. After greeting all the elders, they looked at Zhou Hanliang. Have you moved all your luggage into the car? Moved up, Lu Ma and Xiaojing moved up ahead of schedule. Zhou Hanliang nodded. Xiaozhou. Grandpa Dagong pulled Zhou Mikang aside. Tell me, is something wrong? He is too sensitive to this kind of thing. If nothing happened to the Zhou family, he would never be like this. They were in a hurry to send them away, and, a few days ago, Mr. Zhou and MRS Zhou also said he wanted to keep them for a while longer, but now he let them leave without even saying goodbye. It's so abnormal. Yes, Zhou Mikang said simply without hiding anything from him. Grandpa asked me to bring you a message. When the Zhou family stabilizes, he will visit you in person. This time, I'm sorry. What's there to be embarrassed about? I can't help you, so I'm sorry. Xiaozhou, I won't ask any more questions. Just help me give your grandpa a message. No matter what time it is, I, old Chen, will always be him. My friends, and, when the matter is settled, someone will send me a message. As long as I can do my best, I will never be idle. Zhou Mikang smiled at him gratefully. Mr. Chen, don't worry, it's fine, and it won't last long. That's good. Grandpa Dagong hesitated for a moment. He asked, is it okay for Chu Xia to stay here? How about letting her go back with us? It's safe for her to stay here, Zhou Mikang said. Seeing that Grandpa Dagong was still frowning, Zhou Mikang continued, Mr. Chen, the Zhou family really can't protect her now. It's just that Grandpa Jing and Grandpa Wan have recognized her as a goddaughter, and they are here. Those people dare not do anything to her. Grandpa Dagong finally felt relieved. Then let's go now. If we stay a little longer, you will be in more trouble. Zhou Mikang nodded. Well, I was also worried that those people would not be able to wait to do it, so I was in a hurry to send everyone back, and I would like to trouble Mr. Chen to explain to everyone. Okay, I'll take care of this. Mr. Chen turned around and walked towards the center of the hall. Seeing that Luo Gangshun and Zhao Yushan were looking at him worriedly, he waved his hands. Let's go, it's not safe to drive at night. Get moving. Sister-in-law, uncle, I want to stay with you for a few more days. Zhao Qian heard that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were going to stay, so she pulled Zhao Yulan's sleeves and acted like a baby. Qian, hurry up, MRS Zhao gave her a glare. You are so old, don't be so ignorant. He just came here, so there's no need to rush him away. Zhao Qian looked at Zhou Mikang pitifully. Brother-in-law, please let my mother and I stay for 2 more days. We are tired on the road and we haven't slowed down yet. Come here. That's right, my whole body hurts, and I'm afraid my body won't be able to bear it if I take the car all the way back, Lin Xiahua said while pretending to support her waist and said ouch. Then you don't leave yet. Mr. Zhao looked at the two of them, and said expressionlessly, I'll take your luggage down for you later, leave it here. Grandpa, you're so kind. Zhao Qian grabbed the old man's arm happily, and if she wasn't too short, she would definitely have booed on the old man's face. Yufeng, do you want to stay together? Mr. Zhao looked at Zhao Yufeng. Zhao Yufeng hurriedly said, Father, don't cause trouble for Xiaozhou, let them go back. What does it have to do with Xiaozhou that they stay? Mr. Zhao waved his hand impatiently. Everyone who wants to leave will go, and those who don't want to leave can stay and find a place for themselves, and when they come to rest, they can buy tickets to go home by themselves. Grandpa. Zhao Qian froze for a moment. Dare she and her mother go home again? Thinking about what happened 2 days ago, and thinking about Chuxia's life, her grievance burst out immediately. "Grandpa, I am your granddaughter, how could you treat me like this? My mother and I kindly came to give Chuxia long face, but how did she treat us? He put us down last night and left. He didn't even ask us when he came today. He agreed to take it out to play today, but in the end, he changed it to send the big guy back. This is simply to treat the Zhao family and the Lin family as human beings. After she married someone and flew on a branch to become a phoenix, she no longer has anyone in her eyes, and you all support her. Does that mean that in the future, everyone has to support her? When there is trouble, the Zhao family and the Lin family have to help, and when there is a blessing, let her enjoy it by herself. Grandpa, I am your granddaughter, why don't you treat me like this? Zhao Yufeng, take care of your daughter." Mr. Zhao threw off Zhao Qian, scolded his second son, then turned and walked out, and Mrs. Zhao quickly followed. Seeing this, the others also walked out. To be honest, everyone was not very comfortable with what the Zhou family did. However, the reason for the other people's discomfort was different from Zhao Qian's. They felt that the Zhou family did not pay enough attention to this marriage by doing so. What they felt distressed about was Chuxia, who was worried that she would be angry with the Zhou family in the future. Just now, Li Aiwan, Zhao Yuiying, Zhao Yukui, Lin Baojuan, and Fat Ant all worriedly asked Zhao Yulan this question, but Zhao Yulan couldn't tell the truth. Just tell them that the Zhou family is too busy during this time. She and Lin Baohe wanted to stay and help with the work, and they would go back in a few days. As for sending everyone back in a hurry, there was really no other way, for fear of not taking good care of them. No matter how you hear this, it doesn't sound right. They don't need the Zhou family to take care of them when they live here, they just need to leave 1 or 2 people to show everyone around. Of course, they didn't want to hang around here, but they just felt that they were not taken seriously as their mother's family. My heart will be more or less uncomfortable. Especially Lin Baojuan and his wife, Zhou Mikang had promised to arrange for Luan Dejiang to serve as a soldier. It was one thing that they didn't want to bother him, but now he didn't even ask, and sent them back. It was too much, right? Luan Xiaoxiang and Zhang Xiaoqing's faces were also ugly. If they didn't want to make Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao angry, they would have asked about it. It was a good thing they talked about yesterday. How can you act like nothing happened? And Chuxia, at least she should show up, right? Of course Zhou Mikang could see everyone's emotions, but he didn't have time to explain to everyone right now, and for the time being, it cannot be explained truthfully. As for the future, it depends on the situation. If I had known this earlier, how could he choose this time to get married? The level of the Zhou family is still lower, otherwise. Surely there will be some buzz. Crunch. Crunch. 3 off-road vehicles stopped at the door, blocking a group of people at the door. Zhou Mikang secretly sighed. Still, a step late. As expected, you are here. With a smug smile on his face, an elegant man waved his hands at the people behind him, and 5 or 6 strong men surrounded Zhou Mikang. Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao had been mentally prepared for a long time. When they saw this situation, they were just shocked, and their expressions returned to normal. Luo Gangshun and Zhao Yushan are a bit politically sensitive. His behavior was very strange. At this moment, he understood the general idea, but thinking of the cruelty of this kind of thing, the faces of both of them turned pale. As for the others, they were completely petrified. They didn't know what happened to the Zhou family, but this kind of battle was so familiar. However, in my heart, I no longer complain about the Zhou family's rush to send everyone away. It turned out that it wasn't that I didn't pay attention, but that I had to. Captain Zhou, I've offended you. One of the burly men flashed the handcuffs in his hand, and looked at Zhou Mikang with gloating eyes. How can this kind of person be willing to let him go so as not to make him look ugly? Zhou Mikang is too lazy to theory. Of course, the most important thing is theory useful? The more you reason with them, the more proud they will be, right? He glanced at the elegant man lightly, then looked back at Mr. Zhao and the others. I can't send everyone back. In the future, I will go home with Chu Xia. After speaking, he walked forward. Several muscular men looked at the elegant man, who waved his hand, turned around, and got into the car. At this time, Xiao Yuan, who got off the last car, came over with 4 men, and when they were face to face with Zhou Mikang, he threw his fist at Zhou Mikang. Zhou Mikang staggered, tripped him to the ground, snorted mockingly, and got into the elegant man's car. Prince Mei, you said that you want to vent my anger on me, Xiao Yuan said, clutching his buttocks and rushing towards the elegant man in the car. You beat me up, I can wait until you are out of breath before leaving. The elegant man got out of the car and looked at the few people leisurely. You each use your own ability, I will not interfere. The man waved his hand. Don't meddle, come down. Then he added, something in my car is broken, Xiao Yuan, you pay for it? Go, Xiao Yuan waved to the people behind him, but no one dared to go up. They're all deaf, Xiao Yuan roared angrily. Yes, a few people had no choice but to move to the front of the car step by step. As a result, Zhou Mikang kicked them off before they could step up. The jerky Laogao, Grandma is such a bear, this is simply obedient and obedient, it seems that they have never seen how powerful he is. In fact, he really wronged these people. They were all under Zhou Mikang's subordinates. Of course, they were expelled subordinates. He hated Zhou Mikang to death, but he was even more afraid to death. Now that the Zhou family was unlucky, they were happy from the bottom of their hearts, but when they really faced Zhou Mikang, the instinctive fear came up, thinking about the misery of being dealt with by Zhou Mikang in the past. Who would have the guts to really face off? They are too clear, even if the 4 of them besiege together. It is definitely not Zhou Mikang's opponent, rather than when the time comes. The beaten grandma can't even recognize it, so it's better to take it lightly now. Well, when they were frightened by Zhou Mikang, they forgot Xiao Yuan's insidiousness. Let's go. The man called Mr. Mei waved to his subordinates, and the 2 cars drove away in a hurry. Xiao Yuan snorted coldly and kicked each of them, shut the door. All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, seals were pasted on the doors of the Zhou family's ancestral house. Lu Ma and Xiaojing had received Zhou Mikang's advice earlier, and did not resist. Each of them carried a bundle, and stood outside the door, staring at the sealed door with sad faces. Zhou Hanliang didn't call everyone to get in the car, but hid quietly, at this time. He couldn't let Xiao Yuan see him, otherwise, it would be impossible to send the young and old back home smoothly. After the seal is pasted, Xiao Yuan looked at the people standing at the door stupidly, and grinned. The Zhou family is a counter-revolutionary. He made a gesture of pushing down with both hands, fall down. The expressions on everyone's faces became more complicated. Originally thought that Chu Xia married a good family. I didn't expect such a result, I knew it earlier. Might as well marry an ordinary person. This is the thinking of Zhao Yueying, Lin Baojuan, Li Aiwan, and others. Just to put it bluntly, how could Lin Chuxia have such good luck? So that's what happened. Luckily my daughter, didn't marry such a family. This is the idea of Lin Xiahua and Zhao Qian's mother and daughter. It's better to marry into Chiang's family with peace of mind. Fortunately, this is Wang Meifeng's idea. As for Mr. Zhao, Mrs. Zhao and Chen Fenggang, they were worried. They didn't think things were so bad, nor did they think things so optimistically, but they also knew that they couldn't help at the moment. Staying away and going back safely is the best help. As for Luo Xiaoxian, she was completely stunned by this incident. When Chu Xia left, she told her to take good care of everyone. She didn't ask any more questions, but she never expected that this would be the result. What she's thinking about now is to see Chu Xia sooner, to see if she can help her. After observing everyone for a while, the smile on Xiao Yuan's face became even more proud, and he waved to everyone, I am still very kind, according to the instructions of the leader, none of you can leave, but I think you are all Lin Chuxias. The relatives are all ordinary farmers, there is no need for you to be punished with the Zhou family. This is too wrong for you. Originally, you didn't know the Zhou family, and you probably didn't have any glory in the Zhou family. How can they let you get involved when they are in trouble now, right? Yes, yes, yes. Zhao Qian nodded her head again and again, she now felt that Xiao Yuan was too kind and thought too much of them, that's right, they didn't have any luck, how could they just follow suit? As for her mother, Lin Xiahua, her intestines are green with regret at this time. If she had known the result earlier, why would they come here so desperately? The money is gone, the crime has been suffered, and nothing has been gained, and the most terrifying thing is that he was almost caught. You are. Xiao Yuan looked at Zhao Qian, who are you from Lin Chuxia? I'm her cousin, Zhao Qian said flattered. Are you interested in staying and working in City A? Zhao Qian's brows and eyes lit up with joy, is it okay? Of course, Xiao Yuan nodded, your cousin and I are friends, I appreciate her very much, but I don't deserve her. He said and looked at everyone, you are all relatives of Lin Chuxia, if anyone is willing to stay with you I work here, and I can help. Everyone was silent. They could tell that this man was not a good person, but it would be absolutely unwise to confront him head-on at this time, and of course they also knew that this man did this to deal with the Zhou family. Anyway, Chu Xia has already married into the Zhou family, so they can't do anything wrong to the Zhou family, including Luan Xiaoxiang, Zhang Xiaoqing, and Luan Daijiang, all think so. The only ones who responded were Zhao Qian and Lin Xiahua. Lin Xiahua even pulled her husband over and asked Xiao Yuan if they were older, could they stay? Old Mr. Zhao was so angry that his liver hurt, but he didn't say anything to her. For one thing, they have seen too much about this kind of thing, and it is unreasonable to reason with this kind of person. If they really make trouble and are arrested, it will be the Zhou family who will be implicated. Therefore, to be honest, swallow their anger, and return to their hometown safely is their best love for early summer. Zhao Yufeng was suddenly pulled out by his wife, blushing with anger, he struggled to break free, and took a step back, I want to go back to farm. He. Xiao Yuan laughed, I don't force others to do anything difficult. If you want to stay, I will arrange for it. If you want to go back, you can go back, he said and looked at the few people who came back after pasting the seals and checking them around. Have you found Zhou Hanliang? No one of them shook his head. Okay, he can just hide. Xiao Yuan pointed to the big bread parked by the door, Xiao Wu, drive this car away. Yes, a small man got into the van. Xiao Yuan looked at Zhao Qian and Lin Xiahua, follow him into the car, first find a guest house to live in, and let them find you a house, work, and arrange it according to your needs. Okay, okay. Lin Xiahua took her daughter and got into the car. Then, she stuck her head out of the window, our luggage is not on it. Luggage, Xiao Yuan frowned and looked at the hands of a group of people standing in front of the door. Sure enough, none of them took any luggage, so he snorted coldly, where's your luggage? What luggage are we bringing? Grandpa Dagong said first, the Zhou's family has taken care of food, lodging, and transportation, so we came empty-handed. We wanted to buy some gifts for us, but we didn't. That's right, how can we go back without knowing that such a thing will happen? Mr. Zhao answered quickly. They. After being pinched by Lin Xiahua, Zhao Qian stopped talking. What happened to them? Xiao Yuan looked at her. They lie, they have luggage. Lin Xiahua's face suddenly turned ugly, this silly girl, is she really not going back to the village in the future? If you offend everyone, they really can't go back. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 240. The luggage has been taken out a long time ago, Zhao Qian added without knowing it. At this moment, she only felt that it was the happiest thing to make people who didn't want to see her unlucky. Xiao Yuan is definitely capable if she can seal the Zhou family's door. With the help of such a person, what worries will she have in the future? She has even seen the situation where she got rumored in the city and was fawned on when she returned to her hometown. Xiao Yuan swept around the crowd with a gloomy face, and ordered a few of his subordinates, "Look again, return the luggage to them, and the car must be driven back." Then he looked at the crowd with a smile on his face. "It's not that I am embarrassing you. I have no choice but to blame the Zhou family if I want to complain. With the abilities of the Zhou family, how could they not know that their crimes would be exposed? Why are you in such a hurry to marry a wife in? Use your brains. Xiao Yuan, don't go too far." Looking at Zhou Hanliang, who appeared out of nowhere, Xiao Yuan laughed sarcastically. "Hey, which mouse hole did you go into just now? Why are you willing to come out now?" Of course he was angry at being humiliated by the villain, but in order to send everyone back as soon as possible, Zhou Hanliang said in a good voice, "Xiao Yuan, you are also the son-in-law of the Zhou family. Even if it is for your own reputation, you can't do it too badly, right? My Xiao family has always distinguished between public and private. I can't give the green light to the Zhou family unprincipled just because I married the Zhou family's daughter. Zhou Hanliang, you can send everyone away, but the car must be kept. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain it. You don't want this matter to be investigated and get you involved, do you? Where's my luggage?" Zhao Qian stepped forward, staring at Zhou Hanliang, and asked. Looking at this shameless big round face, Zhou Hanliang really wanted to punch him up and smash it to pieces. Of course Xiao Yuan knew about his relationship with Zhou Mikang. He avoided it because he didn't want to stimulate the other party, but he was completely disturbed by this woman. Although the Xiao family and the Zhou family are relatives by marriage, they are sworn enemies in terms of political views. Given the opportunity, can they suppress the Zhou family as much as possible? Xiao Yuan is even more of a villain who will take revenge. The reason why he lost so much face at the Zhou family last time was Lin Chuxia. Now, how can the Lin family feel comfortable? Besides, it should be the thing he is most willing to do to embarrass the Zhou family in front of the Lin family. Being stared at by Zhou Hanliang, Zhao Qian swallowed unconsciously. My change of clothes are all in the luggage." At this point, the position can no longer be changed, and Lin Xiahua also echoed her daughter, "Director Zhou. Everyone wants to live a good life. If Lin Chuxia didn't want to live a good life, you can't marry into the Zhou family either. Well, if we want to live a good life, we can't say we are wrong. We don't have any money, you can't let us just stay here. Guide Xiaozhou, it's the same when we go to leave by train." Mr. Zhao saw Zhou Hanliang's embarrassment. By the way, as for the second daughter-in-law and granddaughter, he didn't even bother to look at them. This kind of personal gain can set the whole family on fire. If he lets them in again, his surname will not be Zhao. If the second son can't let them go, let the second son go with them. Anyway, he doesn't want to see them again in his life. "Okay, I'll accompany you to buy tickets later." At this point, this is the only way to go. If you keep arguing here, there will be no results. Zhou Hanliang took the lead and walked towards the parking lot. "I'm going to get my luggage." Zhou Hanliang didn't own the car himself. If he drove away by force, only the Zhou family and Su Zhenghong would suffer. Taking a step back, the sea and the sky are brighter, so he retreated. This is also the reason why he has been able to share crotch with Zhou Mikang for so many years, with both hardness and softness, invincible. "Zhou Hanliang, if I were you, I would find a hole in the ground and go in. Zhou Mikang probably asked you to send them back, right? What about you? You hid yourself first, And now you are so useless, tisk tisk tisk. Zhou Hanliang pretended not to hear Xiao Yuan's ridicule. If Chu Xia was here, he would definitely wonder why no one stood up to speak out in the face of Xiao Yuan's verbal provocation. To put it bluntly, it is still a sequela of the age. Even someone like Zhang Xiaoqing, who is not afraid of anything, knows at this time, for a while, everything is calm. In fact, everyone's hearts are about to explode, but what can they do? If they really dared to confront each other with words or make a move, it would be exactly what the other party wanted, and if they were arrested together, and the Zhou family, who couldn't take care of themselves, would worry about them, then they would really be here to make trouble. Of course, some people are also angry with the Zhou family. Since they already knew this day would happen, why did they have to drag Chu Xia into the pit of fire? They are afraid that they will not be able to marry a daughter-in-law in the future, so they deceive people like this. It is too unkind. Under Xiao Yuan's unilateral sarcasm, everyone came to the big bread parked behind Yes house. Zhou Mikang opened the car door, and everyone got in the car to get things. Xiao Yuan stood under the car with a smug expression on his face. He was so happy to make Zhou Mikang make such a big shame in front of Yu's family. If he dared to bully him, he would let him taste a little bit, the feeling of being bullied to death. What's going on? Mr. Ye opened the door and came out, and asked with a frown when he saw the commotion. Xiao Yuan looked back at him, and said with a half-smile, "Grandpa Ye, hello, are you in good health?" "I'm fine, I won't die for a while." "What's going on?" Mr. Ye asked with a frown and pointed at the crowd. "Grandpa Ye, hello." Zhou Hanliang came over and smiled wryly. "I want to send everyone back to their hometown, and Xiao Yuan will come to pick up the car." "There is no way, I will take everyone to take the train." Old man Ye looked at Xiao Yuan. "Leave a line in life, so that we can meet each other in the future. Have you heard of this?" Xiao Yuan chuckled. "Old man, what you said is true, what you taught is true, but this is not what I mean, it is what my superiors mean, and I am also following orders, so don't make things difficult for me." "Han Liang, take everyone here for a while, I'll make a call." Old man Ye snorted coldly at Xiao Yuan. "Car, don't drive away, I'll communicate." "Hey, old man, you are really kind-hearted. You also want to help Zhou Mikang's Yu's family. It's really admirable," Xiao Yuan said in a strange voice. Mr. Ye glanced at him in disgust, and said, "You are really the seed of the old Xiao family." "That's right, I must be a member of the old Xiao's family. There is no collaborator or traitor in our family," Xiao Yuan said with a sullen face, and ordered several people under his command, "See if they have taken the things down, and leave quickly." Old man Ye turned his head and gave him a cold look, then turned and walked into the yard. Xiao Yuan twitched his lips. "Do you think you are an old man?" "Pooh. Brother, which car should we take?" Zhao Qian walked over with her green skull bag on her back. Seeing everyone getting out of the car with their bags and shoulder bags, one by one, she felt so happy. Xiao Yuan said, "Anything, 3 cars, which one do you want to take?" "Can I take a car with my brother?" Xiao Yuan frowned slightly. Just as he was about to refuse, he saw a black car parked not far away. The first person to get out of the car was actually Lin Chuxia. To Zhao Qian, "Okay, whichever car you want to take." "Thank you, brother." Zhao Qian's face was flushed red with embarrassment. People say that there are no ugly women in the 18th century, and there is a certain truth in this. Zhao Qian was really not that good, short, with mediocre facial features, but at this age, when she showed such a shy look, she actually gave people a feeling of being bright. No, the man who was following Xiao Yuan was dumbfounded. However, when he raised his head and saw the girl walking towards him, he was even more stunned. This woman should only exist in the sky. How many times can I hear it in the world? The one who came here was Chu Xia, of course. The ones who came with her were Mr. Jing, Mr. Wan, and Jing Jie, and now behind her was Jingzhe. In order not to cause trouble to the Zhou family and early summer, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe have always been with the big guys, and Xiao Yuan can do whatever they want, and now seeing their daughter, both of them are filled with fear. They have already seen that this leading man should be targeting their daughter, otherwise, it would be impossible to treat them like this, let alone win over Zhao Qian's mother and daughter. He is using this method to humiliate Chu Xia, humiliate the Zhou family, and make the Zhou family hate Chu Xia. After all, people who don't belong to this era have no concept of certain imprinting things of this era. Therefore, when Chu Xia saw Xiao Yuan standing there proudly, he didn't have the slightest bit of uneasiness. Of course, this has something to do with the two heavyweight old men behind her. Although old man Jing is usually like an old urchin, at this moment, his aura is extremely powerful, not at all compared to old man Wan. Inferior. Father, mother, grandma, grandpa. Chu Xia didn't even look at Xiao Yuan, walked in front of him, and greeted the elders one by one, while Mr. Jing waved to Zhou Hanliang, Xiao Zhou, I will trouble you this time, send everyone back safely, and when you return, Grandpa will welcome you. Yes, Grandpa Jing, how could Zhou Hanliang not understand the meaning of old man Jing, and his eyes were filled with joy. He didn't know old man Wan, but he was sure that the other party's status would definitely not be lowered, and he was still with old man Jing. Similarly, he is someone that the Xiao family can't check and balance, otherwise, he wouldn't be here right now. He breathed a long sigh of relief in his heart. The boss was indeed the boss, although he was caught off guard, he still made arrangements one by one. Grandpa Jing, isn't it good for you? Xiao Yuan made such a decision as soon as Mr. Jing came over. How can he be happy? The Xiao family can't touch the Jing family, but the other party has no right to attack the Xiao family like this face.